You're listening to the Shipyard Cat Podcast, the unofficial SAFC podcast for fans everywhere. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the pod. Again, keeping things, different, I suppose. I'm hosting again tonight, so it's Kevin the Hot Seat, and I'm joined by Adam and Robin. We'll mix it up. Adam, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, man. Just plodding on as usual and just been missing football like crazy and can't wait to get it back.
This is true, mate. This is true, yeah. Look, at least this is the last of the international breaks now until the new year. So, thank God for that. And Robin, how are you doing, mate? Good to have you back again.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I'm enjoying it. Obviously international break meant absolutely nothing to me. Obviously, we do have the excitement of the Scots making it to the World Cup for a change. It's quite funny. I know it's a bit off topic, but I was listening to, I think it was Talk Sport, and I think it was Jim White said Scotland did things the hard way in qualifying. I thought, they don't never do things the hard way in qualifying as usual sort of thing. They don't qualify. So, they've got it there. So congratulations to them. I know we've got some Scottish Black Cats out there. So, yeah, it'll be good. Hopefully the rest of the home nations will join them there. But we can move on to the real business of the Premier League.
Wow, this is true. Yeah, no, absolutely. Congratulations to them for qualifying because I know it's been a long time for them. But yeah, hopefully, like you say, the other home nations do join the party, shall we say. So obviously at the weekend we are on an away day. We are away at Fulham. Craven Cottage, not an easy place to go. Probably one of the last old school kind of stadiums in existence, really. I mean, there's a lot of talk about what it's like, the atmosphere it generates. I still think it's quite a cool stadium to look at with the cottage in the corner. That's still quite unique. But in terms of what to expect, lads, like you say, it's an away game. It's going to be tough. And, got to think some of our lads were only playing a couple of days ago. I mean, Robin, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same though for every team, isn't it? That, the travel in, the play-in, just glad it's over. Like you said, it's not till I think March now, so it's good. It would be nice. While you were saying that for the international break, obviously we've got the AFCON come December, January to look forward to. Obviously, we're going to lose some players. We don't know who yet. So yeah, I mean, Fulham's going to be a tricky match. I know they haven't been in the best of form this season. And by all accounts, Marco Silva's under a bit of pressure. And there's talk of him possibly going. I know he's out of contract in the summer. But it's a bit bizarre, really, that last summer he was linked with other jobs. And is he too good for Fulham? And now, because of their results haven't been that great, it's a case of, is he going to remain for the remainder of his contract, or are they going to get rid of him before?
True. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? 6, 8, 12 games is a long time in football. What we on, this is going to be match day 12. And yeah, if he hasn't got the results that they're expecting of him, then naturally, like you say, they're not going to want to renew his contract. They're probably going to look at a way of it coming to an end, be it, naturally or prematurely. But I mean, in terms of, like I said a minute ago, Craven Cottage itself, that's a tough place to go. But can we make this game number 14 unbeaten in London? I mean, Adam, your take on it?
Yeah, I'm completely agreeing with you guys. Craven Cottage is it's a very tough place to go to, especially of how compact their stadium is as well. It feels like everybody's on top of you, so to speak, as well. It's a nicely set out stadium. It's not like the new builds, for example, if you look at like the Etihad, where it goes out over, not in over. It's one of those where it goes in over and it's nice. It's a fan's delight, so to speak. As you said, it's one of the last very few old school stadiums that are out there now to sit back and enjoy a game of football there. Obviously, they're going to make it hard for us. We know that. And as you said about Marco's the biggest shock factor, shall we say, this year, where he's not performing to the high standards as Fulham did last season. So what's changed in those few months? Is it the fact being that they've got new players in there, not gelling as well as the core would like to be? Or is it something that Marco himself's doing? Like he's not getting his message across? I've said to you off pod, I have a feeling this could be the decider for them. Do we keep them, or do we roll the dice for another couple of games, or do we roll the dice and go, you've been beaten, or Sunderland here, or going back to the old stick of newly promoted Sunderland, there's the door.
Yeah,
It's going to be one of them at the end of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, that's one of those things I've said to you, isn't it, off pod? You know, I'm not a massive fan of the terminology of these newly promoted sides because for me, at the end of the day, we're in the division for a reason. You know, it's not like it's a newly established league and let's put these teams into numbers into a hat and go, oh, that'll do. We've earned our position, and I think if you look at the fixtures now, a lot of fans can't exactly say we've played no one. We've put the effort in. We've got to where we are in the table by grafting. Because other teams have played some of those teams we've played now and haven't rolled them over. And well, what does that say about you? If we did it and you're saying they weren't very good, but when you've played them, they are good. Not a lot changes. You know, it's not like there's been another transfer window and another 10 players brought into a squad. It's just the teams have gelled a little bit. That's probably the only difference. I mean, in terms of the lineup, obviously, as far as we know, everyone is back from the international break unscathed. We know Ronaldo picked up a knock in Mozambique, but is okay and is due to be fit for Saturday. Rigi said so much in the press conference. Obviously, we know players that are on the fringes of being involved. You know, the Mundles, Sirkins and stuff. They're all playing tonight in the under-21s, I believe it is, in the Premier League International Cup, whatever it's called. So we know they're not going to feature, but it's good to see that they're kind of getting minutes into their legs now. What's your thoughts, lads, in terms of any changes you would make? Obviously, we think Alderete is now probably ready to come back. Does he force his way back in? Do you give the likes of Masuaku a start, a try for a bit of physicality? Do you start Robbie up top? There's about 1,001 different ingredients you could throw into this one. And God only knows what you'd conjure up. I mean, Robin, I'll throw this one at you. Any drastic changes you would make right now?
Not for me, no. I think if anything, it would be a case of if Ronaldo isn't fit, I think you'd bring Alderete in. I think with the players we've got available and that, I think we're quite good at the moment. Look, Alderete is a great defender, and it's going to be hard for him to miss out. But he has been out for a bit. There's no need to rush him back in. It's like Ballard. Had his little bit out, didn't he? And then he got back in because, and so on and that. I mean, the interesting one to me, Kev, is what you actually said about the under-21 International Cup thing tonight, is Mundle's involvement. To me, it depends how much he plays as to whether or not he'll feature on Saturday. I think if he's only given limited minutes, then I think he'll be on the bench.
Yeah, Regis was suggesting 45 minutes for him today. Sirkin's getting the full 90. Mundle's getting 45. And Hielder's getting 45, I believe. But obviously that's all subject to change, isn't it? Because if Mundle 5 minutes in picks up a knock, then he ain't getting 45 minutes.
No, exactly. But that to me is interesting. I think you give him that, and then he's not run too much on his legs. I mean, let's face it. I mean, the lad's he's going to have been running and on the bikes and fit anyway. It's just about getting that little bit of touch back. So I do think if he only plays 45 today, if everything goes to plan, then I do think he will be featuring on the bench. Obviously, it all depends who's going to miss out. It does look like we are getting some of these players back now. Obviously, you mentioned Sirkin, you mentioned Yelda. Obviously, Elise is not too far off as well. Obviously, Mundell. Um, you know, the, it's now going to be hard to pick your match day squad. You know, as you know, regarding Masuaku, I mean, I said to myself, I've not been overly impressed by what we've seen of him so far, and there is talk of him going in January. That's the only talk of any player leaving I'm going to give any credibility to. Not even prepared to discuss the other pathetic rumour, which was rubbish by the club and the player himself.
Yep.
You know, so I do think that if he is away, if he is wanting away, I think don't feature him. I don't think his head's going to be in the right place. I think we've got other players with enough strength in the depth of the squad that we don't need to risk a player that's not happy.
Yeah. Just to touch on, similar to what Robin's saying there, I think for me, I know I love Aldrete and I would love to see Aldrete come straight back in the fold. I would love it. But I'm in agreement with Robin. One, you don't want to rush him back. And two, to me, at the minute, Gertrude has not put a foot wrong. So it's going to be hard for Aldrete to fight for that place. And I think that's what's good about this squad now. We are seeing the players fight to get in the first team and go, you know what? That position was mine. Give it back. But I'm going to show you how I'm going to get it back by winning it back. And then obviously Gertrude will do the same thing of saying, this is my spot now, and go from there. In regards to Mundell, just touching on what Robin's saying, I do agree with you both. I think if he does feature, say, 45 minutes today, he will be on the bench, getting himself a couple more minutes, possibly come on. If not, I think he'll get then another 45 in another unders game, and then I think he'll be hard choice of who do you then choose on the left.
I mean, what you've got to think as well is obviously Hetrauda, as it's pronounced, Adam, can also play in that midfield role. You know, so he is, you know, an option there to fill that space. You know, it's going to be an interesting one to see whether or not we go 4 at the back or whether or not we go 5. You know, to me personally, I think maybe we switch back to a 4 against Fulham. I don't really see the need for having, you know, either the 3 and the 2 wing backs or the 5 at the back, however you like to dress it up. You know, I think we might go back to a back 4 and try and, you know, put more in the centre of the park, because Fulham really do have a good midfield in general. You know, they lack in other parts, but their midfield is good, and I don't think we want to be overrunning the midfield area. It's an interesting one because obviously the way that Labrie changes things around to keep people guessing.
I think that's the thing with Brian Brobby, isn't it? I think that's the other thing with Brian Brobby. He mentioned about how is Brian Brobby effectively getting near to a start, and he's like, Brian Brobby's still working hard, he's pushing hard. In other words, at the minute, he's still going to be that super sub if we need him. And I think the confidence for Brian Brobby now is probably going to be even higher than it was already after getting that equaliser against Arsenal, where when he comes on, the first thing he wants to do is going to be wanting to run at people even more, use his strength more. It's strange to see. Like, he's not exactly a small lad, but muscle-wise, he's just pushing people over for fun. So
he was brought in for that physicality, though,
more.
wasn't he? When you think about it, you know, he's well known for his physical ability, and obviously we watched what he did with Chelsea, where he, you know, took their defender for a walk. I mean, for me, up top, you make no changes. I think we stay with a Wilson, Mayenda kind of who's it going to be kind of thing. And I think Regis is very clever with that, because he does seem to keep that very close to his chest. The club are, you know, very good at it as well, because you don't want to give too much away, because, well, why would you tell your opposition what you're going to do? That's rule 101 of football. So obviously, yeah, Robin, I agree with you. I think rumours wise, I think Masuaku is probably the one to say could have a bit of weight behind it. But we are going to end very quickly that silly season of rumours. Obviously, yeah, the Xhaka one, what a load of rubbish. That's clearly just a bored journo trying to get some extra followers. But no, I think realistically, when this window opens, the first thing the club are going to do is look at those players that aren't getting game time, that maybe deserve to go out to get some game time, be it your Dan Neils, your Luke O'Nines. Those are the sort of players I think realistically they're going to get talked about in the window. The likes of your Renildo, your Nordies, that come on. The journalists might as well not even bother because it's not happening unless someone comes in with a stupid offer and the club go, well, hang on a minute. You know what I mean? But yeah, rumours, we'll talk about transfers when the window reopens. I think AFCON's another thing. Let's leave that parked until we get closer to it. Obviously, I know Regis was challenged about it today, and he said there's rules are rules. Players will go, but we don't know who's going and when they're going yet. Everyone's of the assumptions, December 1st, 9 of the squad leave, when realistically they might not be leaving, some of them, until the 18th, 19th. That's basically the Christmas break. But yeah, it's one of those. What do we think Fulham are going to bring then? To be honest, I've not really looked that deep into them because for me, I'll be honest, the international break just kind of made me go, meh, football's not a thing until this week when it was like, oh, actually, we're back playing this weekend.
Yeah, pretty much the same. It's, I mean, the thing is, though, with Fulham, they're shipping goals, but the thing is, though, with Fulham, they've always had dangerous players that can score. They've got obviously the midfielders. They've got Emil Smith Rowe and I can't remember the other lad's name. They've got another central midfielder who can pop up with the odd goal. Obviously, you've got Alex Iwobi as well. Obviously, ex-Arsenal, Everton and stuff, and that he can have a goal in him and stuff. But then, they'll catch you on the break and stuff and things. But I don't think set pieces are going to be a problem for us. I think we've got more than enough to defend those. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's a real hard one to gauge because they're probably a better team than their league position says. Just been a bit unlucky. But also on the other hand, it's the Premier League and you're in that position for a reason. That's what I say. It's a real tough one because Fulham's one of those teams where they've had periods over the last few years where they'll go on a run and look absolutely fantastic, and then they'll drop off again, and then they'll go on another run, and they sort of like always seem to be comfortable mid-table. But then we look at other teams which have been like that previous seasons, like the Wolves and West Ham, etc., and stuff, and they're struggling a little bit as well now. With these Kev's favourite newly promoted teams coming up, and sort of showing that it's not just about the status quo of the 17 that survived. Are going to be the 17 that survived again. So they've got a battle on their hands. They're in that thing that they're going to have to turn it around a bit, and they're probably going to be up for it because they've had that break. Like you say, coach is going to get them there. He's going to get them fired up. I don't think what Adam said that they'll judge this game and whether or not they sack him. I'd be really surprised if they did. I think if they were going to sack him, I think it would have happened during the break, so they could have brought someone else in. I think now you give a man like that until really Christmas, and then you sort of see really. But yeah, it's going to be a close game to me. I don't think it's going to be like a blowout, but saying that, if it is a blowout either way, it wouldn't surprise. Well, it would surprise me if they did it, but on their day in previous seasons, they are capable of doing that. They've done it before. They put 4 or 5 past teams, which you wouldn't expect on the day, just because everything clicks for them.
Mm-hmm. That's my concern. If we get, I'll be honest, if we get a Fulham of last year, I'm worried because Fulham last year when they got their togetherness, similar to what you're saying, Robin, when they had their togetherness last year and they went on that run, they were pretty much unstoppable against teams. It was nice, silky football, and then found the back of the net pretty much on nearly every time they got near it. I just think some reason this year, just the only togetherness to me I can see within their core of their team at the minute is their midfield. I don't see it clicking. It sounds horrible to them, but it's not clicking up top. When it comes to getting the ball through the top, they're getting it there, but then they can't find the back of the net for some reason. They're just doing similar to what we did a few seasons ago, trying to walk it in the net and go, look, we played some good football there, passing it about 7 times in the box. But that is my danger. On the counter attack, they could still cause problems. Whereas if they want to do that, I think that plays into our hands, where we can then go, that's fine. Bring as many as you want forward because we'll just ping it up to Wilson and Wilson can run. And we've seen it before with Isidore. If he gets the chance, he'll just run with the ball.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, they've got some pace in their squad. Obviously, like you've mentioned Iwobi. They've got Calvin Bassey in defence, who's one of the quickest in the league. Obviously, they've got that new signing that they made in in the window recently, like Kevin. He's also very tricky and well rated. He just hasn't clicked, shall we say. Other players they've got, Harry Wilson has always been a bit of a bother. And then obviously you've got players like Sander Berger, who again can cause you trouble. It's just working out a way of kind of combating that. My worry with this one, lads, and Robin, your take on this is probably the best in terms of tactical yellows. Do we feel any players might need to take one for the team this week to get themselves the little suspension?
Yeah, I know what you're sort of saying.
Without saying that someone might get booked, I'm not I'm not Plaqueta from West Ham here trying to put a bet on,
Yeah,
or Tonali, but any money on some players maybe wanting a yellow this week?
I mean, it's a possibility. That's all I'm going to say. Um,
Because let's be honest, if you're going to miss a match, you're probably going to want to get it this game, so you miss Bournemouth,
yeah,
rather than getting it in Bournemouth and then missing the likes of Liverpool.
yeah. I mean, that is the thing, isn't it? I mean, you don't want to be missing Liverpool. I mean, obviously, when we got Man City, we got Newcastle, and it's like there's 3 games there that you're not going to want to miss. So, yeah, I mean, is it a case of that? It's a real tough one, really is. It's not something that you like to see, but is it an evil necessity? Quite possibly.
Well, put it this way: Xhaka's on 4 yellow cards. He's going to get one in the next couple of games, isn't he? It's unless he does a Trey Hume and goes on an unbeaten streak of no yellow cards for what was it, 6 games or something.
Yeah.
But you've also got Noah Siddiqui on 4.
Yeah.
One of them is definitely going to get a card in the next couple of games. And Siddiqui even said in his Ask Noah session on YouTube the other day, he wants to face Liverpool because when he played against Liverpool with his former team, Liverpool absolutely battered them. So he wants
Yeah.
a bit of revenge. You can't get revenge if you're not in the, on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't want to, but yeah, I mean, it's one of those that I don't think any of us will mind if they do pick up a booking and miss the Bournemouth match. However, do we want to be missing both of them for the Bournemouth match? Most definitely not.
No, I was going to say that's a surefire way of getting Dan Neil back in the squad, but no,
Yeah, I
definitely
mean,
not.
it depends how far away Diarra is as well. I mean, Diarra's got to be pretty close as well. And like I said before, Petralda can play the midfield role, especially that holding role. So, there are options there. Obviously, just Dan Neil, You know, we got young Chrissy Rigg. You know, Enzo can play in the middle. We've got players, you know, that can cover that position. So, yeah, would you want to do it? Probably not. You know, it's a home game. We want to keep that home form, excuse me, there, you know, going. But let's not get ahead of ourselves too far. But I certainly do think that either or, both of them, will certainly have that yellow card out the way before we face Man City, because I don't think any of them are going to want to miss the game after.
Well, this is true. Unless, like I say, I mean, like, in my ideal world, the club would have appealed some of the silly yellow cards that players have been given what they didn't deserve them for, Granit Xhaka in the last game. But these things happen at the end of the day, don't they? I mean, Adam, as a defender, do you go and get yourself a tactical yellow here to get it out of the way?
Honestly, yes. The reason being, you've both hit the nail on the head. You've got that run of games coming up in December. You're not wanting to miss it, and you know for a fine fact, being say Xhaka, for example, holds his own in these two games. Come the derby, I'm not going to lie. If I'm Xhaka, I'm pumped up for that for a derby, and I'll end up on a yellow card, because you would know for a fine fact, being Xhaka's going to get them lads fired up something rotten and go, right, this is what a derby is. This is what it's like. It's feisty. You're going to be in for a fight yourselves. Get ready. And I think that's why he might pass the message on to the likes of. I know we're going to talk about AFCON when it comes round to near that time. But I think this is where the likes of, if we do have the likes of Siddiqui still here or Diarra, it's going to be right. It's like, especially Siddiqui, right? If I'm you, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, get a cheeky yellow, get you then back up to so you can get another yellow, because you're going to be in for a fight. And as you said, he does want to miss Liverpool. And I think the lads 100% don't want to miss City as well, because City is going to be a hard test to see where our overall will be. But I agree with Robin, though. Newcastle will be the one that don't want to miss.
Kev, I'm just going to say, I don't think Adam's ever had a tactical card in his life. He had no choice but to get them, you know, with his standard of tackling.
This would be a tactical one, though. That'll be the truth.
No, but look, if it happens, it happens. That might actually go on my little ACCA on Saturday, funnily enough.
Well, like I say, I just thought it was best to throw that towards you. And, you know, yeah, for me, I think one does it this match to get it out of the way, and then one potentially does it for the next one. But you don't want to be missing, like you say, the Liverpool, the Man Cities. They're the games when things get busy.
Yeah.
Adam, thanks for the update there. I understand Mundle has just scored in the unders. You've obviously got YouTube on there while we're recording.
Yeah.
While the professionals are doing their job, Kev?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Trying to type that at the same time as not wanting to just blurt it out is a bit hard. So,
but you know what? Fair play. It's showing that his match sharpness is getting there, and I think, to be honest, the plan for the club is to get these lads, you know, back up and ready, so that when we do lose players in December to AFCON and suspension, we've got players ready to fill the slots. You know, you may even start seeing that in the next couple of games. There might be a little bit of squad rotation takes place, so that he can try and see who fits where when he needs to do it that way. But that's something to come on to on, let's say, December. So, score predictions, lads. Who wants to go first? Don't both shout at once.
go on.
Okay. I am going to say 3-1 to the lads.
Nice.
For me, 2-1.
So don't see a clean sheet then?
No.
Any reasons? Do we just think Fulham have got something about them that they will go and score? I mean, they to be fair, looking at their previous results, they have got a goal in them.
Yeah, I mean,
they do seem to like losing 2 or 3.
Yeah, this is it. They have got a goal. I mean, they scored like 12, I think, out of the 11 games. So I do think that there's a goal there for them. You know, and like I say, they've got dangerous players, like you said, the likes of Harry Wilson. That was what I was thinking before. Obviously, Iwobi, Emil Smith Rowe. Obviously you got that Kevin who's quick. They got, is it Jimenez up front as well?
Yeah,
Uh,
it was Wolves, wasn't he, before?
Yep.
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
they've got they are capable, and I just think we might concede one, but I think it's going to be tricky because obviously people are going to look at us and they're going to think, well, hang on a minute, these lads have just come back against Arsenal being a goal down, but not only scoring one goal, which no one had done in the previous 10 games, they scored 10 goals after being behind. So there's going to be a lot of apprehension on their behalf as well, I think.
No, definitely. I mean, for me, I would like a clean sheet. So I would like for this just to be a simple 1-0 affair. I know that's boring and safe, but I just want us to go and get an away clean sheet. I think it'll do Roofs the world of good. Because I know how annoyed he was when he conceded against Arsenal. And I mean, the lad needs to have a word with himself. You conceded a couple of goals against Arsenal. Like, it happens. Like, geez. But he seems so annoyed. He felt like he was to blame for the draw, and it's like, no, you didn't. You're a good goalkeeper.
Yeah, it doesn't
So
matter
no,
goalkeepers, mate. If you don't want to concede, it's like the thing. It's like a striker being upset when they don't score a game. Goalkeepers and defenders don't want to concede. So yeah, I mean, yeah, in the cold light of day, conceding to Arsenal's nothing that nobody hasn't done this season.
yeah, no, exactly. So that's my thoughts. I think a 1-0. So we've got 3-1, a 2-1, a 1-0. That's a nice mixed bag there. I don't really have anything else to throw in the mix, lads, to be honest with you. Like I say, Mundell's currently got us 1-0 up against Sporting Lisbon, I think it is.
Yep.
Yeah, Club Portugal Sporting, I think their actually official title is or something. But yeah, it used to be Sporting Lisbon.
We'll just stick to spot on this.
Exactly.
Too much
They're wearing what
work.
looks like a Celtic kit. I've just had a quick look on my phone.
Yeah. It's like Bilbao now. They're now known as Athletic Club.
Yeah. But no, I think that's everything really. Obviously, we'll get stuck into the game on Saturday. It's a novel idea for a 3 o'clock Saturday kickoff. Obviously, with the good old Premier League moving fixtures. We'll get onto that rant in February when we play, 3 teams in 6 days. But yeah, for the fans, 12 o'clock kickoff in London.
Yeah.
Never mind. Robin, you'll be all right with that one. I mean,
Hey, I'm going to be all right with that. I'm not going to argue with that one.
you can probably throw something and hit the London Stadium.
Yeah.
Although you need to be careful going to away games because the last one you went to, you didn't end up in too good a state. Not due to alcohol either. But
Yeah, not the following day. Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, look, that's not likely to happen again. So, you know.
This is true, mate.
You mean we don't need them to go into recover again? That's fine.
Yeah, isn't it? But no, look, lads, thank you for joining me tonight. It's been a blast. It's good to have us back, talking about proper football and not in our little WhatsApp chat talking about Scotland winning and other boring games like that. So yeah, thank you, lads, for joining. To our listeners, look, thank you for listening to us ramble on. I'm sure Adam will probably want to take the hot seat back at some point. And then Robin, you can have it back when we decide that Adam's not, I don't know, fit to host or something.
Next week,
one
then.
episode. Took the words out my mouth.
I know one thing. When the derby comes round, I'll get it'll be a randomizer. We'll just put names in a hat, and then the host can be picked at random, so no one can bagsy it.
If it's that
But no,
random,
look.
it'll probably pick Chris out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But no, lads, thank you again for joining me. And to all our listeners, look, thank you. Any questions, any feedback, anything you want to sort of tell us or talk to us about, drop us a message. We'll mention it and talk about it in the pod. And yeah, we'll catch you all on the next one.